I cannot even begin to imagine the sheer, suffocating heartbreak that must have washed over Anita and Vernon Dupree when the devastating reality of their family's genetic legacy finally came to light. The revelation that Naomi Hawthorne carries the dreaded BRCA gene mutation has sent absolute shockwaves through the Dupree mansion. From what we can gather, Naomi was fully prepared and ready to bravely announce her positive status to the entire world, but the news reached Anita and Vernon first. Perhaps it was Kat Richardson, fresh off her own life-altering liver transplant surgery, who gently broke the news to her grandparents. Or maybe it was Danny Dupree, spiraling out of control in her own web of guilt and denial, who blurted it out in a moment of sheer panic. Regardless of who delivered the message, the impact was nothing short of catastrophic for the Dupree patriarch and matriarch. To truly understand the depth of this tragedy, we have to look back at Anita's recent, grueling battle with breast cancer. We all watched Anita endure the absolute hell of chemotherapy, the physical exhaustion, the terrifying uncertainty, and the emotional toll it took on her and Vernon. When Dr. Bauer finally delivered those glorious clear scan results, Anita was on top of the world. She had won. She firmly believed that the nightmare was officially over, and she rejoiced in the comforting thought that none of her beautiful grandchildren would have to suffer the same agonizing fate. But fate, it seems, has a cruel and twisted sense of humor in Fairmont Crest. The realization that the BRCA mutation has been passed down through her bloodline has completely shattered Anita's newfound peace. I can feel the agonizing weight of the guilt she is carrying right now. As a mother and a grandmother, Anita is torturing herself with the thought that her own DNA is a ticking time bomb that she unknowingly handed down to her daughter Dani and her granddaughter Naomi. The survivor's guilt must be absolutely paralyzed. Anita survived the war, but now she has to watch the people she loves most step onto the exact same terrifying battlefield. So this makes me wonder, how much more psychological trauma can Anita handle before her own health begins to deteriorate again? We all know that immense stress can wreak havoc on the immune system. Will this overwhelming, suffocating guilt cause Anita to suffer a relapse? Vernon has always been her steadfast rock, the man who held her hand through the darkest nights of her treatment, but watching his wife crumble under the weight of a genetic curse might be the one thing that finally breaks his stoic facade. I am genuinely terrified that the Dupree family is standing on the precipice of a massive emotional collapse. The scene where Anita finally confronts Naomi about the diagnosis is easily one of the most powerful and tear-jerking moments we have ever witnessed on this show. When Anita wrapped her arms around Naomi, holding her tight, it wasn't just a hug. It was a desperate transfer of strength between two generations of warriors. Anita, with tears streaming down her face, gently probed into the silent agony Naomi has been enduring. She asked her granddaughter how she managed to carry such a terrifying, soul-crushing burden all by herself for so many long, lonely months. Let us not forget the context of Naomi's silence. While Naomi was sitting alone in the dark, reading terrifying oncology reports and facing her own mortality, her husband, Jacob Hawthorne, was off playing a dangerous game of cops and robbers. Jacob was deeply embedded in a lethal undercover sting operation to take down the Impaler and the International Plasma Ring. Naomi, being the fiercely protective and selfless woman she is, chose to swallow her terror and keep her diagnosis a secret so that Jacob wouldn't be distracted in the line of fire. The sheer fortitude and mental resilience it takes to fight a silent medical war while your husband is fighting a literal one is absolutely astounding. Anita was deeply moved, and quite frankly relieved, to learn that Naomi hadn't just been sitting around waiting for doom. Naomi had been meticulously researching, consulting specialists, and actively monitoring her health to stay one step ahead of the cancer. But that's not all. The truly jaw-dropping moment came when Naomi revealed her ultimate battle plan to her grandmother. Naomi calmly and bravely confessed that she is seriously considering a preventative double mastectomy to eradicate the risk of breast cancer once and for all. I could practically see the shock register on Anita's face. To hear a vibrant, beautiful young woman casually discuss the surgical removal of her breast is a jarring, horrifying reality check, even for a seasoned cancer survivor like Anita. It is a radical, aggressive, and permanently life-altering decision. Yet, Naomi's rationale is brilliantly logical and fiercely empowering. She looked her grandmother in the eye and reassured her that a positive BRCA test does not mean a guaranteed death sentence. It is a warning siren, and Naomi is choosing to heed that warning. By opting for a double mastectomy, Naomi is taking absolute control of her destiny. She refuses to live her life looking over her shoulder, waiting for the ticking time bomb in her chest to detonate. I am so incredibly proud of Naomi's character arc here. She is transforming her fear into an impenetrable armor, proving that she is the strongest woman in the Dupree family lineage. However, the conversation took a dark and highly concerning turn when the focus shifted to Naomi's mother, Danny Dupree. Anita, clinging to a desperate maternal hope, prayed aloud that Danny would adopt the same proactive warrior mindset as her daughter. But we all know Danny, and Naomi knows her mother better than anyone. Naomi had to gently break the devastating truth to Anita. Danny is drowning in a sea of toxic optimism and outright denial. You have to look at this through the lens of Danny's entire identity. Danny is a high-profile fashion model. Her physical form is her currency, her brand, her pride, and her shield against the harsh judgments of the world. For Danny, the mere thought of a double mastectomy feels like a career death sentence and a total annihilation of her womanhood. Naomi explained to a heartbroken Anita that Danny is clinging to the fragile hope that a risk does not equal a certainty. Danny is stubbornly refusing to surgically alter her body because there is a slim chance she might never actually develop the cancer. My theory is Danny's reckless, self-destructive behavior over the past few weeks is a direct, subconscious psychological response to this genetic death sentence. Think about it. Why on earth would a woman who is happily married to a wonderful man like Andre Richardson suddenly throw it all away for a panicked, sweaty hookup in a broken elevator with her toxic ex-husband, Bill Hamilton? It wasn't just about the terror of the tornado. It was about the terror of her own mortality. Danny feels like her body has betrayed her, that she is a walking corpse waiting for the cancer to strike. That elevator hookup was a desperate, chaotic grasp at feeling alive, desirable, and in control, even if it meant blowing up her entire life in the process. This deep-seated denial is going to have catastrophic consequences for Danny's future. If she continues to bury her head in the sand and ignores the preventative measures that could save her life, what happens if she actually develops an aggressive form of breast cancer? She is playing Russian roulette with her life, and the chamber is fully loaded. Furthermore, how is this going to impact her marriage to Andre? Andre is a man who is intimately acquainted with the devastating pain of sudden loss, having lost both of his parents in a horrific plane crash. He is already terrified of losing Danny. When he fully realizes that his wife is stubbornly refusing to save her own life out of vanity and denial, it is going to drive a massive, perhaps insurmountable wedge between them. Andre cannot and will not stand by and watch the woman he loves commit slow medical suicide. And we cannot ignore the sinister ripple effects this will have across the broader Fairmont Crest canvas. What happens when Bill Hamilton fully grasps the magnitude of Danny's BRCA diagnosis? Bill is an arrogant, manipulative narcissist who is still deeply obsessed with his ex-wife. I can absolutely see Bill using Danny's medical vulnerability to play the white knight. He will leverage her fear, her confusion, and her marital strife with Andre to worm his way back into her bed and her heart. Bill thrives on Danny's instability, and a genetic cancer scare is the ultimate destabilizer. But wait, the danger doesn't stop there. We have to consider the resident Black Widow of Fairmont Crest, Haley Hamilton. Haley is already actively poisoning Bill, slowly draining the life out of him to secure a massive insurance payout. If Haley catches wind of the fact that Danny is carrying a genetic mutation and is emotionally spiraling, she will absolutely weaponize that information. Haley hates Danny with a burning passion, especially after discovering the truth about the elevator effect. Imagine Haley orchestrating a psychological warfare campaign, anonymously sending Danny twisted reminders of her mortality, or leaking her medical status to the press to destroy Danny's modeling career. Haley is a ruthless predator, and Danny is currently a wounded gazelle limping through the savannah. The emotional stakes on Beyond the Gates have never been higher. The Dupree women are facing their greatest, most terrifying battle yet. And this time, the enemy isn't a tornado, a political scandal, or a serial killer. It is their own genetics. Will Naomi successfully undergo her double mastectomy and emerge victorious, or will there be tragic surgical complications? Will Danny finally wake up from her delusion before the cancer takes hold, or will her vanity be the literal death of her? And most importantly, will Anita's fragile heart be able to withstand the sorrow of watching her legacy fight for their life? I am on the absolute edge of my seat, and I cannot wait to see how this tragic, beautiful, and chaotic storyline unfolds in the weeks to come.